All right, Shalom, Shalom. This is the brother Hamayan from the Richmond camp here in Virginia. Wanted to present another lesson, but first and foremost, I want to acknowledge my power and give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Next, double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of the Great Millstone who teach the 100% truth of the Bible. Please. Peace, blessings, and safety to the hopeful elect, to the Akim, who continue to push this truth throughout the four corners of the earth. I want to say Shalom. I want to also acknowledge my elders, Elder Karab, Elder Metathiah, the brother Ara here in the Richmond camp, and continue to be thankful and say the water for them presenting this truth. Right now, I just wanted to present a lesson titled Government Demons Starting to Flex Their Devices. And so I wanted to just focus on the word devices and just wanted to come out with a definition of that word device. It says something devised or contrived, such as a piece of equipment or a mechanism designed to serve a special purpose or perform a special function. I wanted to open up with the book of Job chapter 9 and verse 24. It says here, the book of Job chapter 9 and verse 24 in the KJV, the earth is given unto the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? This is the book of Job chapter 9 verse 24 in the NLT, which says, the whole earth is in the hands of the wicked, and Yahweh blinds the eyes of the judges. If he's not the one who does it, who is? So the hands, this earth, Salaka, is given into the hands of the wicked. Talking about, the billionaires, the high officials, the leaders, presidents of other nations, of other countries, and they govern their countries in a wicked manner, and in a manner that oppresses the people. For example, you have Kim Jong-un, if I'm pronouncing that right, of North Korea. He has policies and laws to where if you don't have a picture of him in your house, you're liable to be put to death. He also has laws of if you cannot associate yourself with the neighboring South Korea people, at all. Can't speak to them, can't be neighborly, and, for the example like that. Also, in China, the president there, they have laws in place to where you're only limited to having X amount of children. I believe it's just 2 children per household. You can't exceed more than that. So, if you do, there's a consequence behind that. And so, these leaders, these officials, presidents of these nations, they run things in a wicked manner that oppresses the people, and so the earth is governed by these people at the moment, at the present time. Want to also look to the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11 in the KJV, and it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. It's the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11 in the NLT. It says, so that Satan will not outsmart us, for we are familiar with his evil schemes. And like the prophets of old to the current prophets of today, we are familiar with his schemes. We are familiar that he was behind the creation of COVID, the plandemic, not the pandemic, but the plandemic. He was also behind this current hantavirus that was originally started on a cruise ship, and various people got sick, and so even a few people were unalive, based on what the media says. But even with the media, that can be falsified as well through this devil. We understand that also back in the day that with the Trail of Tears with the Native Americans, they were exposed to the diseases coming from Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the smallpox, influenza, pneumonia, all factor in their being unalived, and also having their being conquered, having their power reduced or stripped during that time. Want to get a definition, Salaki. Want to go to the book also of the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 4. It says, book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 4, and the KJV says, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 4 in the NLT. It says, look at the proud. They trust in themselves, and their lives are crooked, but the righteous will live by their faithfulness to Yahweh. That's right. These Edomites, so-called white man, live by their own set of rules, a wicked set of rules. They rebel against Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Their very spirit is crooked, so they can't accept righteousness. They won't accept righteousness, so they have to go contrary to that. And so that's why they're creating these devices. They're creating things that like a new situation with the ticks that is abroad. Boxes of ticks are being found, and they have been bioengineered, modified to where if you have cattle on these farms, and the cattle gets these ticks on them, now the meat has become contaminated, and if you eat that meat, now you get compromised through consuming that meat. And so now it's just another method, another device that the so-called white man, Esau Edom, has come against not only our people but his own people. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. I want to go into the book of Psalms, chapter 23 and verse 11. Salaki. Book of Psalms, chapter 21 and verse 11. This book of Psalms, chapter 21, verse 11 in the KJV says, for they intended evil against thee. They imagine mischievous device which they are not able to perform. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 21, verse 11 in the NLT. It says, although they plot against you, their evil schemes will never succeed. And so they're constantly plotting against you with devices, with schemes that would cause affliction here to the inhabitants on the earth. But if you're about Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, if you're about his laws, statutes, and commandments, and following him, then those things won't be able to affect you. They won't manifest themselves, to come against you. So this is what is on the mindset of the wicked elite, to continue to oppress, to continue to cause damage and harm to the inhabitants here on the earth. I want to also look at the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18 and verse 12. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18 and verse 12. And the KJV says, "And they said, there is no hope, but we will walk after our own devices. And we will everyone do the imagination of his evil heart." It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 12 in the NLT. It says, "But the people replied, don't waste your breath. We will continue to live as we want to, stubbornly following our own evil desires." And again, so-called, leaders of this world, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, this is what they follow. This is what they do. They are against righteousness. They are on the left-hand side of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So they're pretty much saying, we're going to be stubborn. We're going to continue to afflict the world. We're going to continue to do mass deletions. We're going to continue to come up with devices that compromises your body, that shuts down your vital organs, over time or immediately, So, and they are proud to do this, and they're very stubborn in their ways, and so this is who they are, and this is what they do to inflict the inhabitants here on the earth. So with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Shalom.